She's the daughter of the founders of the Kolache Factory, Dawn Nielson. She is my guest on my Houston Women podcast, sharing the secret, the one thing her dad did that helped the Kolache Factory take off. It's pretty amazing. Definitely a good listen, and thank you, Mattress Mac from Gallery Furniture, for always sponsoring our Houston Women. I have such memories of you on stage while you have all your employees and I'm there judging your kolaches that your employees came up with amazing ingredients and presented them to us and several other judges. For years, I did that with you. You guys have just become, what are you, the fifth most popular fast food restaurant now in America? Is that what I read?
That's news to me. They haven't told me that news yet, so that's awesome.
I read it somewhere. You're one of the fastest growing companies here in Houston. You, your precious mom and dad had this dream, and to be successful in the restaurant industry is unbelievably hard.
It is. I think what's interesting right now is that my mom and dad started this at the end of the 1982 recession, which was so horrible on everybody. So, not everybody's always recession proof, but we've made it through 4 of them, which is awesome. So it's a big testament to our product and our family and the belief that we have in offering a easy to eat, healthy, nutritious product on the go. And we're constantly trying to reinvent ourselves. And you've been a fabulous partner, one of my most favorite VIP judges, because you're always so willing to try everything. Not everybody's like that, Dana.
We've had some amazing judging contests with you all, incredible ingredients. You've got such a talent, dedicated, loyal crew. And I know it's because they believe in you guys. They see your family. They see the way that you work together. Family businesses are not easy, and you love them. You give them an opportunity to shine.
Absolutely. We've had some of our employees with us as long as I've been here. So when I started, I was 9 years old. I think that was back in 1986. And some of them were started with us about a year or two after that. So they really are family. They've helped build this company, and they are invaluable people, and they know that. And we do believe in giving them an opportunity to shine and grow and help us create this fabulous brand for tomorrow.
Dawn, now, so you're 9 years old. You're working with your mom and dad. What was life like? I want people to get a sense of how hard you all worked to get to where you are today. So people just don't think, we just had a great product and it worked.
Yeah, it was, I was quite young, Dana. So for me, life was great. It was the 80s. And I had my cartoons and my roller rink. So
right.
But for my parents, they really started from scratch, and they had to create the recipe. They had to figure out a recipe that could be done on a large scale, which is quite different from your mom and pop, the way grandma used to make it, right? And so then it was trial and error. What kind of flavors did we want to put in there? And, at one time they were making croissant sandwiches and, deli meats and things like that. And so it was kind of an evolution. And during that time, it wasn't the best location either. So my dad was looking to get out and get on the right side of traffic for morningside traffic. And as soon as he did that, Dana, it took off. The visibility, the easy access in and out. And then at that point, it was about 2.5 years later, we had some real good flavors that were on the menu. Our employees were coming up with things like bacon and cheese and, jalapeno and cheese, things like that. So again, giving homage not only to my parents, but to the employees who many of them, over whether they're still with us today or not, were part of that creative development phase of where we are today.
Lots of clever, ingenious strategies that your mom and dad used to introduce the kolache to Houston. And I know you used a lot of strategies. What have you learned from your mom and dad's strategy? Because now you're the COO. I don't know if you ever said as a little girl, yep, I'm going to help run this company when I grow up. I don't know, but you do.
No, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian.
See how life works?
Yeah, life throws you curveballs, but no, I think what I've learned that's invaluable is my parents are the true entrepreneur spirit, right? So my mom, um, sort of broke through the glass ceiling. She worked for a banking industry. She was the head financial person. That's huge for a woman in the 70s. Huge.
Right, right.
My dad was also in finance, worked for a large name brand bread company. So he had a lot of experience in production and in packaging and things like that. So they really brought a lot of things to the table that as a young child, I didn't know anything about, right? So, and then my mom was super brilliant in the fact that she came up with buy six, get six kolaches. And I'm sorry, apologize.
That's okay.
And so the thing about that was what was so brilliant about it is no one can eat 12 kolaches. You have to take that into the doctor's office, or you have to take that into the boardroom, or you have to take it home to the kids or the neighbors, what have you, right? So there is nothing that sells a kolache better than putting it in someone's hand. And so she knew that. And so that is what really helped. She also totally believed in being heavily involved in the community. So we were always giving food away to local charities for their fun runs, or whatever events that they might have, again to put our name out there to support the community, obviously, but to obviously for us to, the more hands that we can put our product into, the better off we are, because it's a little bit of an education process back in the 80s. Not everybody knew what a kolache was.
Now, you wanted to be a veterinarian, so did you go to school for that, or did you change that early on and say, okay, I mean, did you go to school for finance, restaurant management? How did you educate yourself to be in the position you are today, Dawn?
Well, I think a lot of that is hands-on, right? You,
Mm-hmm,
you sort
mm-hmm.
of, when you're in the store at 9 and your dad's telling you to scrub the baseboards, or you're ringing up your first customer at 12, a lot of these things are in the field training. I was given an option early on in my early 20s on what I wanted to do. Being an only child, there really is no other place for the company to go
Right.
if there's not someone they can pass it off to. And so my husband and I were given an option on what I wanted to do. And it was either go to vet school for 8 years, or it was to come on board and take this to the next level. And because I knew it for all my life, it's sort of like your security blanket. You go, well, I don't want to give that up. I think I want to take
Right.
that with me. I kind of know everything about my security blanket. And so that's what we've chosen to do. And then the rest has been, history, learning as we go. We live in a vastly different world when it comes to advertising and marketing than we did 10 years ago, than 20 years ago. So what I learned from my mom, although still true today, is done a little bit differently now with digital marketing and things like that.
Right, right. And yet your logo, your colors, all that's pretty much stayed the same, right? I mean, kind of like Sunny. I've been there for 32 years. We've changed it up a little bit, but overall it's got that same look because I guess the brand was really good to begin with.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to stay true to who you are, and people know that, red logo. They know our logo man. They know our product, and we would do a disservice to the brand and to the product if we did anything to change that. So our image is very, very important to us.
Now, what about, I know you've expanded outside of the Houston area, outside of Texas. Do you have have you hired an actor logo man to introduce the kolache to other areas?
We have not, but it's funny you brought that up because we have considered it. But because he has no eyes or mouth, you know, we've kind of been like, how do we really work around that? So
However you want, you
yeah.
decide.
So yeah, no, we don't have an actor out there like the Chick-fil-A cow, but maybe I'll have to reconsider that.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. How do you introduce other areas to the kolache?
So most of our outside locations are franchised. So there are folks who have been customers of ours and then have decided to go back home and take this fantastic product back to their communities. And our method is still true and the same that it's always been, is to put offers out there that will encourage trial. So we now do a buy three, get three instead of a buy six, get six, and it works fabulously. Um, and we have email marketing and social media. We have several teams that work on our social media and branding that also help support those franchisees in individual markets. But, opening up a new store, just like my parents back in 1982, sometimes it's a bit of a struggle because you're dealing with consumers that aren't familiar with the product. Half of them don't know how to pronounce it. So there's a lot of education that has to go into that and supporting the franchisee and getting the word out about us.
I'm interested because I have to do a speech on leadership. You've got your dad, your mom, and you. How would you all describe your leadership styles? Are you the same? Do you each bring something really different to the table? Was there a mission statement maybe that dad and mom offered up that you followed? What is your leadership style you think that's made you so successful?
So mom's no longer with us. We lost her about 14 years ago to cancer. And leadership styles very different. I'm sort of a hybrid between my mother and my father.
Right.
So my father, very quiet. He sort of just simply says what he wants done and that gets done. I'm a little less quiet. So I think for some of our older employees that have been there, it's a bit of a transition to move from one who's been there for so long, and then I'm coming up in the ranks there, and the different styles of how things are expressed or encouraged or what have you. So. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that did you take any type of leadership training? I'm always curious about that because you've got to handle different personalities. And if you're a strong personality yourself, you might have some blinders on and you're not seeing. Was it your husband maybe who helped you see? Or how do you think you were able to go from, the daughter of the founders to one of the leaders?
Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest with you, it's kind of like I mentioned earlier. It's a lot of learning on your feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made some mistakes over the years with delivery, but these people have also grown with me as well, and they've seen the transition and the evolution. And as you age too, you just sort of look at things a little differently than when you looked at them when you were 24. 24, things are very black and white. When you get a little older, there's lots of grays in here.
Yes, there is lots of gray.
And I remember my mother saying, pick and choose your battles. And so that's a little different for me now. It took me a long time to remember she used to say that. But as I've gotten a little older, I'm like, she's so right, because some of this stuff doesn't even matter tomorrow morning. The things that matter tomorrow morning or next month or next year, maybe those are the battles we pick. The others, we can let it go. I miss her a great deal. I wish she was here to see how far we've brought it, and also for her guidance. But I think life has a way of putting difficult things in your path and obstacles in order to make you learn on your own. And I think with her, I was probably coddled a good bit, being an only child. So I think learning the hard way is sometimes the best way.
I'm sure
no
she
leadership
is.
skills, no training.
Listen, she
field.
is looking down at her little girl going, oh my gosh, good job, Dawn. Good job. Now I have to ask you, all the different flavors of kolaches. Are you taste testing them? Do you go into the kitchen and say, come on, I had this idea. I had this dream last night. How impactful are you and your taste buds on the selection you offer?
Well, I like to think I'm very impactful. And I like to think I'm quite unbiased as well. So, for example, I am not a sweet fan at all. My husband is, my father, my children love sweets. I cannot stand them. But when an item comes before me and it looks beautiful, I will take a bite of it. And I know to be as impartial as I possibly can be, because that product's not for me. That's for someone else.
Right.
And so I can take a bite of that product and go, I know this is delicious. This meets all the taste profiles. It looks the way it's supposed to look. The name is ideal. It's a great product. I'm not going to eat it, but it's a great product. So I like to think I'm very unbiased. I also listen to a lot of customer feedback. I've always done that. And I work with my R&D department, and I'm constantly giving him ideas like, we need this, we need to do this, we need to at least try that. So very involved. The kolache of the month that comes out, we've had since, oh my gosh, 15 years. That was my idea to bring to the table. And I said, we have the same things over and over again. Why aren't we sort of trying something new, see what sticks, see what doesn't? And I think customers love it. Gives them something new to try.
Well, in the month of June, my birth month, the country breakfast kolache is one of my absolute favorites. It's unbelievable. The way that I learned from you all, the kolache ingredients in the center of the amazing dough, it has to be worthy of me driving and it doesn't spill all over my lap.
Correct. Absolutely. When we test these items, Dana, I literally break it open and I shake it. Now, maybe one or two pieces fall out. That's not a huge deal breaker. But if that thing just, completely crumbles and, it will not pass. It will not get to collect $200. It's in the trash, and we're moving on to the next one. Because again, that's one of the principles that my father and mother loved so much about the kolache, is that it was portable. You didn't have to worry about glaze dropping all over you or taco sauce or anything else. When we live in a fast-paced society like we do, even back in the 80s and 90s, you need to eat on the go and need to trust that you don't have to worry about getting out of your car and go, oh my gosh, I can't go into my meeting.
Right.
So that is one of our main things that we look for when it comes to judging something in the kolache Olympics or judging something that comes before R&D. It's a stability of ingredients.
You've got your franchise. I don't know if that was part of your mom and dad's plan to make this a franchise possibility for other people to share kolaches nationwide. What else do you have planned for the future? Are there any big dreams, or are you just kind of loving what you've got and you're there to make it the best that you can?
Pretty much the latter. My parents, I think when they first began, had no idea they wanted to do franchising. My mom was getting out of the gift business. And so they opened up the kolache factory, like I mentioned earlier. When he moved it over and it took off, I think that's when the wheels really started spinning and going, oh my gosh, we can really take this all over. And so their goal was to hit 200 units. We're not quite there. We're at 61, I believe.
Wow.
These things take time. But our ultimate goal right now and vision is to expand through franchising. Corporate owns about 30 units. We're happy with those 30 units. We may open another location here or there, but we really love the idea of our customers taking the product back to their communities and supporting their communities, hiring people local to their areas, and expanding our brand through that way.
That is amazing. That's amazing. And what advice, Dawn, would you give to young, aspiring, entrepreneurial type people, or people who never had entrepreneur? I mean, it's you're very lucky to have entrepreneurial parents because they're the outliers. They do things differently. And so you learned a lot of different ways of being, and it's helped you be a success. What advice would you give to us ladies, to get out of our comfort zone and give it a go?
I think you should find a mentor. And I know that doesn't sound like that's, something news flashy, probably heard it before, but finding another woman in the industry that you can at least talk to. And I think the other thing too is to listen to the people that are around you. Listen to what you believe in your heart of hearts. So if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a business yet, then I suggest you research it. You decide, is this something I have the stomach for? Am I ready for this? Can I afford it? How long can I stay in it if it doesn't take off? All of these questions, are big, giant questions to decide whether or not you're prepared to do that. Having some sort of mentor, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got all places you can go and find people. Your alma mater, you could go there and talk to your business director who could point you in touch with a marketing person. So talking to someone in your circle or even outside of your circle to make sure that you've got what you have individually to take this on. And if you believe in yourself, then listen to, the folks around you, and be patient and do what you need to do and just take it day by day. That's really all you can do. You cannot look at tomorrow. You cannot look at next month or next year or 5 years down the road. You can have an idea, you can have a goal, but you need to focus on today and tomorrow. That's what's going to keep you open.
You being a busy mom, do you cut off the work day, or are you the type of person you just get the work done until it's done?
Depends on the day, Dana.
Okay.
Depends on the day. Luckily, both my kids are out of the house now, so but there are definitely times that you have to shut it down. You really, for your own sanity and for the people that work around you, you do need some downtime. And that's, I think, another really important thing you have to decide is, when is that downtime? Is that just on the weekends? Is that 8 to 9 p.m. But let people know that you work around, that is your downtime, that you will be back on, but not at that time.
Okay.
And I think it's important to enforce that in your employees as well, is that everyone can get burned out. Everybody can be overwhelmed. There's so much information coming in all over the place. We've got to worry about our family. We've got to worry about our work. We've got to worry about the drive into work. There's just so many facets of things to worry about. And if we cannot turn it off for a few hours a day, you'll burn out.
Mm-hmm. What about outside of your fabulous kolaches? What else do you like to eat?
Probably my favorite is Mediterranean. I love Mediterranean food, and Indian. So I'm in between those two. But
Excellent.
we're too close to Mexico not to be a Mexico food lover. So
I know.
But chili relleno. If I had to pick my favorite thing in Mexican food, chili relleno would be it.
And since you're not a sweet person, I won't ask you about desserts because you probably don't eat them.
Nope. No, but my husband and the rest of my family does.
Never met anyone like you, Dawn. What about when you do need distraction and downtime? Are you a Netflix watcher? Do you go to the movies? What do you like to do in your free time? What brings you to your happy place?
Yeah, so my husband and I are pretty much Netflix bingers. So every night we're watching Longmire now, so I don't know how long that's going to take. But we just went to a movie. First movie we went to go see was Top Gun Maverick.
I figured, yep.
Last week. And that's the first movie we had been to since pre-COVID. So it was awesome to be back out and be like, oh, this is what we used to do. This is great. So yeah, no, definitely big, series movie buffs.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Well, it's so good to visit with you. I love sharing your story. I love getting our appetites wet for kolaches. And I talk about you in the mornings when people are driving to work, just to say, you know what? Let's just stop by the kolache factory and pick up some kolaches, gift cards. I know you've got it all. And I love your Father's Day. Buy 3, get 3. So the whole family's fed for Father's Day. It's just a lot of fun what you do. And that's the fun part. But the fact of the matter is the kolaches are amazing. Consistently for all these years, amazing.
Thank you, Dana. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. And you have been such a wonderful partner over the years. You always get me re-energized.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's neat to talk to someone who started with nothing and created this masterpiece. So it's really cool to hear the stories of how you did it. That's why I like to share that. You are one of the bright lights in Houston. And Dawn, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.